The evidence of Zapruder's film can also be interpreted as supporting the theory that the gunman on the knoll fired the fatal shot, perhaps using an explosive bullet. The film shows a section of the president's skull flying off backwards as though he had been hit from the front. His body also jerked backwards when, according to the laws of motion, it should have lurched forwards under the impact of the high-velocity bullet from behind. It has been suggested that Kennedy jerked backwards as a result of the muscular spasm caused when his brain was struck, and because the limousine had accelerated very suddenly after the first shot. This spasm and the acceleration could also account for the fact that the bone and the brain matter were found in the street well behind the calculated position of the car at impact. If there were two riflemen, then there must have been some sort of conspiracy, even if the second gunman were If there were two riflemen, then there must have been some sort of conspiracy, even if the second gunman were no more than an accomplice of Oswald. So this was premeditated, and they had to do the job on the same day. If one missed, the other mustn't have missed. So this day was very important to some people. The commission under Chief Justice Earl Warren that was set up at once by the new president, Lyndon Johnson, to investigate the assassination, had a specific brief from him to exercise the demon of conspiracy, because the international implications of the conspiracy against the President of the United States were so horrendous. The commission questioned an enormous number of witnesses and exhaustively analyzed the medical evidence of the autopsy, but none of the second gunman evidence was recorded in the Warren Commission's report. If there was a gunman on the knoll, he could have fired and missed, and then not fired again when he saw that the president had been hit. The number of the shots fired is still in doubt in the minds of some of those who have studied the assassination. Several witnesses thought that they had heard 4 shots. A congressional committee, later known as the House Assassinations Committee, conducted its own inquiry much later, reporting in the summer of '79, acoustics experts who had examined the sound recording of the event gave evidence that 4 shots had been fired, and the House Assassinations Committee had the benefit of a new and dramatic evidence, a second recording made unintentionally on a police patrolman's radio. Police patrolman's radio equipment that had lain ignored for 16 years. Even if the Warren Commission was justified at the time in ruling out the presence of the gun. Now, this international police patrol radio equipment had been laying ignored for 16 years. Then there were 2 gunmen, and this policeman and the area around where the president was shot, I think it was all calculated. Everyone knew the day, everyone knew what to do, everyone knew what was going to happen that day, especially this policeman's radio equipment. Anyway, even if the Warren Commission was justified, they carried out their groundwork, hadn't they? And this policeman, I think, is part of this plot. Even if the Warren Commission was justified at the time in ruling out the presence of a gunman, and he's not. I don't think this policeman was American, because all Americans they like the president, don't they? Proper Americans, they like the president. That's why he's president. Even if the Warren Commission was justified at the time in ruling out the presence of a gunman anywhere other than in the book warehouse, there remains evidence for existence of 2 snipers. Shortly after the shooting and police searching for the gunman, a man detained for questioning in the nearby Daltex office block after a sharp-eyed liftman reported that he seemed to have been behaving suspiciously. The man gave his name as Jim Braden and assured police that he had been in the building to look for a telephone, that he was in Dallas not to see the motorcade, but because he was in the oil business. I think this man is innocent. When they heard on the radio that Oswald had been arrested, because he's American, proper American man, when they heard on their radio that Oswald had been arrested at about 1:50 p.m., the police released Braden. Later it was discovered that he had given false name and was in fact a known criminal called Eugene Braden. Oh, guess I was wrong. Eugene Braden, who had links with the mafia, yet he was never reinvestigated. The essential question about the present assassination is, was he killed by a single fanatic who was operating entirely on his own, or was he murdered as a result of a conspiracy? How many people were involved in the shooting is central to that question, and the answer to that may be found in an analysis of a number of shots that were fired in the very brief time in which the assassination was accomplished. The conclusion of the Warren Commission was that there was only one rifleman, who was positioned in the 6th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository. 3 spent cartridges were found in the sniper's nest of cardboard cartons that the rifleman had set up behind the window, and that he had precipitately abandoned after the shooting. Microballistic analysis of the bullet fragments recovered after the shooting indicated that they had all come from the Mannlicher Carcano rifle found hidden among the book cartons. So it seemed to the police that 3 shots had been fired and that they had all come from the window. But some witnesses among the hundreds of people watching the motorcade in a nearby Dealey Plaza testified to hearing 4 shots. Now, regarding the shots, one must understand about this rifle. Make an average analysis of when a person is holding this rifle, how many shots does he need to fire to get, to be accurate? 1, 2, 3, 4. How accurate was this gunman? But some witnesses among the hundreds of people watching the motorcade in Dealey Plaza testified to hearing 4 shots. Ballistic tests showed that the rifle was undoubtedly belonged to Oswald and fired some shots, but it was not possible to establish how many. The timing of the shots is crucial, and the only firm evidence about it rests on the amateur cine film shot from the grassy knoll by Abraham Zabruta. His film was running at 18.3 frames per second, between frames number 205 and 225, probably in frame 210, in which the view of the limousine in the lens was obscured by a street sign. The president was hit by what is believed to have been the first shot, and reacted by raising his hands to his throat. From the speed of the car, the position of the street sign, and the speed of Zabruta's film, it can be seen that the car was about 60 yards from the warehouse and that the first non-fatal bullet came from the 6th floor window. More on this case later.